Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever really thought about what happens the moment you swallow a pill? Well, today, we're going to follow that pill on its absolutely incredible journey through the body. And trust me, it's like a wild obstacle course that decides everything, from how well a medicine works to why your doctor prescribed that exact dose.
Right? It's a great question. Why isn't everything just a simple pill? The answer is all about navigating that internal obstacle course. A medicine's form, whether it's a pill, a patch, or an injection, is actually a super clever strategy to get the right amount of the drug to exactly where it needs to go, bypassing all the body's security systems. And for any medicine you take by mouth, the very first, and maybe the biggest, obstacle is our own digestive system. You've got to think of it like a heavily guarded border crossing, a toll booth. And believe me, not every molecule is getting through. The key idea we need to talk about here is the first pass effect. See, after a drug gets absorbed from your gut, it doesn't just go straight into your general circulation. Nope. Its very first stop is a mandatory visit to the liver, which is basically the body's main filtration plant and chemical processing center. This slide maps out that trip perfectly. You swallow the pill, it gets absorbed, and then it hops onto the portal vein, which is like a direct highway to the liver. And once it's there, these powerful enzymes just get to work, breaking down a big chunk of the drug before it ever even gets a chance to do its job in the rest of your body. And this chart just brilliantly shows the impact. For a lot of drugs, the amount lost to this first pass is massive. I mean, look at that. A huge piece of the original dose can get wiped out right away. This is exactly why the dose you take is often so much bigger than the dose that actually becomes active in your system. So this brings up a really important question. How do we even measure what's left? And you know what? Even for the little bit that survives that first pass, the challenges are far from over. This is where we get into a term called bioavailability. So think about it like this. If a drug is given intravenously, that's directly into the blood, it has 100% bioavailability. But a drug you swallow might only have a bioavailability of 50% or 20% or sometimes even less, all because of that tough first pass effect in the liver. But here's another crazy twist. Even the drug that does make it into the bloodstream isn't home free. The journey's not over. A lot of those drug molecules immediately get grabbed and basically handcuffed by proteins floating around in our blood. The most common one is called albumin. And this is so important in the real world. This little insight from a medical discussion really highlights it. If a patient has low protein levels, it means there are fewer handcuffs available. And that means more of the drug is free and active, which can get toxic fast if the dose isn't carefully lowered. This slide just lays it out perfectly. It's only the free drug, the unbound stuff, that can actually do the work. It's the only part that can leave the bloodstream, get into tissues, and create an effect. The part that's bound to protein, it's essentially inactive, just sitting there like a storage reservoir releasing the drug super slowly over time. So, how do you get around that first pass toll booth in the liver? Well, you take a different route. It's that simple. Putting a drug like nitroglycerin under the tongue lets it absorb directly into the blood vessels there, completely bypassing the gut and the liver for a super fast effect. And the exact same idea applies to rectal meds, injections, and even skin patches. Okay, let's shift gears a little. What happens in an emergency? What do you do when you just can't afford to wait for a drug to slowly build up in the body? The problem is, with just regular dosing, it can take hours or sometimes even days for a drug to reach a level where it's actually effective. And when time is absolutely critical, what's the solution? The answer is something called a loading dose. Okay, think of it like you're filling up a bathtub. Instead of just turning on the tap and waiting forever, you dump in a big bucket of water first to get the level up fast. And then you turn on the tap to keep it there. That initial big bucket, that's your loading dose. This graph shows it perfectly. Look at that blue line. That's the loading dose. It just rockets the drug concentration right up into the effective range, almost immediately. The red line, that's a standard dose, and you can see how much longer it takes to get there. In a serious situation, that time difference can mean everything. So we've gotten the drug level up quickly. Awesome. But now comes the real trick, keeping it there. See, the goal isn't just to get a drug into the body, it's to keep it in this perfect zone, not too high and not too low. And that perfect zone is called the therapeutic window. If you're below this window, the drug just isn't working. If you're above it, you start risking toxic side effects. The real art of medicine is keeping that drug level hovering right in that sweet spot.
And the way this is done is by reaching what's called a steady state. This is that beautiful point of equilibrium where the amount of drug you're putting in is perfectly balanced by the amount your body is clearing out. The level in the blood stays stable, right inside that therapeutic window.
The key to predicting all of this is the drug's half-life. That's just the time it takes for your body to get rid of half of the drug. And here's a really cool rule of thumb in pharmacology. It takes about 5 half-lives for a drug to reach that steady state. So a drug with a short half-life gets there really quickly, while one with a long half-life could take days.
All right, one last kind of mind-bending concept, the volume of distribution. Just imagine your body is a big tub of water, and inside it is a giant sponge. If a drug really loves to get soaked up by that sponge, which is your body's tissues, it's going to look like it's dissolved in a huge volume of water. This directly changes its concentration and half-life. And it's another one of those critical things doctors have to account for.
So, wow. We've talked about the first-pass effect, bioavailability, protein binding, loading doses, half-life. It's a lot, I know. But understanding these ideas is absolutely crucial for safe and effective medicine. Ultimately, it's all a balancing act. The drug level in your body is in this constant tug of war between the inputs, like the dose and how you absorb it, and the outputs, which is basically how fast your body can get rid of it. And managing this delicate balance isn't a one-person job. Not even close. It's a full-on team effort. The doctor prescribes, the pharmacist double-checks everything from the dose to any potential interactions, and the nurse gives the drug and watches you closely, monitoring for both the good effects and the bad. It's a whole system of checks and balances, all for your safety. So, the next time you take a pill, just take a second to remember its incredible journey. That simple dose is the result of so much science, all carefully calculated to navigate the amazing obstacle course that is you. It's not just medicine, it's a precision-guided mission.